Region locking is supposed to make every choice matter, but in RuneScape 3, those choices can cut across skills, quests, and entire progression paths in ways old school has never had to deal with. So, does region locking actually fit in RS3, or is that friction actually what makes Leagues 2 interesting?
For myself, I'm not a huge fan of it in RS3. It works so well in OS because OS, as we've said before, is it has a lot of horizontal training methods over there that you can sort of do in this area or this area. It doesn't matter. Its training tree for its skills is very widely branched, whereas on RS3, it's their skilling tree is, I said this earlier in the week, basically a telephone pole. It's sort of very very linear, and it's made it sort of very hard, and especially when you do things and you've made your plans and you're basing things around the Fort for Win 3 quest series, great. I plan my herb lore around that, then get there, get it all done, build up my botanist thing, and then I can't access it because I can't do the quest because I have to do the wilderness. And it's things like that I think have really detracted a lot from it. So whereas the old OSRS with region locking, I would have given that a 9 out of 10. This I would probably give 6 out of 10.
And see, the thing that I wonder with this is this due to the fact that this is the first region locked RS3 league? Because on the absolute opposite side of what you have just said, I think the fact that there are hard choices to be made makes it interesting. I also think having fewer areas of the map to focus on lowers the cognitive load in terms of finding tasks to do, at least from my end.
To do things, if you have a Fort for Win 3 quest series, you expect, if you've got Fort for Win 3, to be able to do that quest series. You're choosing other areas. You shouldn't be forced to take wilderness to do one quest
to get the full fort.
It's awkward because they've auto completed a lot of quests that give useful benefits in specific regions, but there's a lot that they also didn't.
Like they friggin' auto completed the bar crawl of all things.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't expecting that. That is not auto completed in OS Leagues, but here the bar crawl was auto completed, which for giving you access to the Barbarian Agility course. I also wonder with the fort question in particular as well, if that's because wasn't there discussion of the fort being actually part of the wilderness?
I think that might have been an early development thing. It was
and that would have made
the
more
first
sense.
News post, and then it was taken out. I think because they realized they couldn't, there's really no good construction training in Misthalin.
But I mean, even if they made sort of, I mean, I suppose you have to go and kill those armored zombies and all that anyway. So no, they can't really just sort of put a little region around the fort. But again, just things like if you unlock the herb lore tier 2, you've built it all. You can build it. Granny's there, but she tells you to go and speak to Sonia before you can actually access her shop. You can't get Sonia.
You can't use the workbench either. You can't do anything unless you've built the Ranger's workroom, which requires Dead and Buried.
Yeah.
Which is
requires like 3 quests and building basically the entire fort.
I think if you do the first and second quests, that should automatically have the other 2 unlocked for you next time they do this. Because as I said, you sort of I Fort for Win 3 bang, and I've planned a lot of my gameplay around that, and half of it's now not available to me.
Which is then forced me in particular.
Yeah.
Fort for Win 3 in particular is just really awkward for this format because the quest series is so tightly linked around building up the fort, which is really good construction XP to do. So you kind of don't want to fully auto complete it. But at the same time, you have that really strict region dependence, which makes it really awkward.
Here's the deal here. I have two controversial thoughts on this. And this is going to be controversial to the RS3 players, but not the OS players. Number one is that the fort should not have been a construction training method, but that's the phase of the game we were at. That
is past.
That boat has sailed, and that's going to be controversial for a lot of people. The other thing is that they added the they auto completed the construction tutorial, and with that, there's a construction workbench in the Lumbridge smithing room. There's your construction training in Misthalin, and then you get a POH portal when you unlock Karamja.
Yep.
That's how it is.
Tangentially related.
Like, deal with it. That's how it is on OS, and that's part of the decision-making process when
but even
choosing
things
regions.
like, they've put the dungeoneering guy outside the fort so you can spend your tokens.
Right, because ED1
and
ED4
sinkholes
give tokens.
Yeah, but sinkholes, you can go and do sinkholes, but you can't find out where they are because you have to have Demon Hide to ask the guy.
Someone needs to call them.
Or Prif.
Yeah. Or Prif, yeah. But, I don't see why they couldn't have had that guy tell you where they are as well. And if they're not in your region, bad luck. But, when they're in your region, at least you can get there and get them done.
Yeah, and
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I get it. Like, it's that whole vertical content thing. And I said we're going to learn 2 things about RS3. I said this in pre-show last week. We're going to learn 2 things about RS3 in this league. I'm going to keep the second one under wraps until more people come upon it. But the second one is that when it comes to things like region locking and tier for tier relics that were in OS, we have to really ask the question, does doing the same league format as OSRS make sense for RS3? And I want to get myself 100% disclosed out there that I am enjoying this one better than Catalyst, and I think I'm doing better than I did in Catalyst. I've got more high skills, I've got more points, and I'm going to be more powerful combat-wise. So yeah, I am enjoying myself, but I think we need to ask that question going forward, because you and I, Pern, we played the OS League, we played Demonic Packs not too long ago, and we had a great time over there despite that not being
and this
our
is from a
primary
guy
game.
Exactly, and this is from a guy who prefers RS3 over OSRS by a long shot. I had a lot more fun, and as I said, 9 out of 10 for that one, 6 out of 10 for this. Even
so
things
far.
like, if you want to have your relics for archaeology, you have to take the archaeology relic there, because
or you have to pick regions around that.
Yeah, but
which is hard.
No, but you can't unlock everything, because there is relics for your monolith in every single area. So it's like, that's what I mean. Our game is very linear and is, you need
it's very integrated.
You need the whole world sort of. Whereas, maybe we should have got an extra region, perhaps. Maybe we should have had 4 unlocks instead of 3 unlocks. I don't know.
I was reading online, and one of the suggestions that came up was that, in that tier 6 tier where you have Perfection, Rejuvenate as only 2, add a 3rd relic there that lets you take another region.
Well, even that would be interesting. Yeah. And that's what I think. I think a lot of the relics, or a lot of the relics that we've got, again, are very much based on what they did in OSRS. And they're fine, they're great, but I think they worked better over there than they do here.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing, is that we saw that coming out of Catalyst, especially with how lopsided that was. We saw the day 1 stats of tier 1, and it was still a majority. 69%
if we didn't have
chose Golden Touch. If we didn't have
Havenheith, we'd be in a much worse state.
Yes, Havenheith is really, it's been the savior of a lot of this content, I think.
I think if we didn't have Havenheith, allotment and herb patch in the starting region.
Yep.
It's the only way to train Hunter in the starting regions from level 1, unless you use lamps.
Yeah. Well, again, the natural history quiz got you to 29.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. I forgot about that.
And then from there you can take it. But you see and I think the last thing we need to do on this one is that we just need to clarify what we mean by vertical. What that effectively means is that rather than having breadth between, say, level 50 and level 80 in terms of skill training methods where you have multiple things, you have one specific training method here, and a lot of the training that we have in RS3 is locked behind a quest chain, locked behind multiple different regions to be able to use effectively. And that's part of what made the Haven Hive addition to this welcome, and what made, just this huge monolith of, 144 quest points here, most of which auto unlocked, a big deal for this league. But so I want to talk a little bit.
The perfect example of that is divination, which is something that's been biting me a little bit. Where divination, like, from the starting regions, your choices for divination are you go to Lumbridge, you go to Varrock, and then you park your butt on Karamja. And where you go from there depends entirely on what regions you pick. If you have the wrong ones,
if you have the desert, you have at least the gate.
Yes.
Well, gate is in Misthalin.
No, Gate of Elidness?
Yeah, that's in Misthalin.
Really? Yeah, I thought that was desert.
Part of
shit.
Yeah, it's part of
it's Misthalin. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you have trading through that, which is good.
But it doesn't become effective till higher level.
But yeah, not nearly as effective.
And that's going to be one of the other things that I think we need to talk about at some point is just what exactly is the place of divination? Because I had that exact same thoughts earlier, Zerdones. It's just that divination itself just doesn't feel good as a skill, and they tried to make it better by adding a number of QL things, I think in 21 or 22, and then they did the mid-game rebalance thing, which is basically a drop in the bucket for what it needs. But I don't know. It's a weird skill in terms of how we all train it. I wanted to talk about some of the upsides of region locking as I see them, because I think the whole idea of an interconnected game focusing on vertical content is one thing, but I also think that region locking makes it easier to plan your league. Hear me out on that. Region locking makes it easier to plan your league because you can decide specifically what content you want to do, what content you like doing, and what you don't, and then go with that. And maybe once the task lists were out, you might have made some changes about what region you chose, where the easiest combat blessing points are, where the easiest 200 and 400 points are, if you're looking to get a quick dragon trophy. So I think it makes it a little bit easier in that perspective. And I also think it lowers the cognitive load of what you need to do, because I know now that I am in Kandarin, now that I'm in Kandarin and I have Production Master, I can focus on skilling and knock out some of these very high tier skilling tasks that exist on the Kandarin list and continue to pad my pockets with GP by thieving the heroes here in Ardoyan, so I can both feed Richie at the Grand Exchange and chuck 100 mil into the whirlpool at deep sea fishing. And
other than that, though,
because that's 800 points right there. Me? That's all I'm going to pretty much need money for.
Yeah. So, you pretty much make that anywhere anyway.
You can, but Kandarin is helpful in a lot of respects. Fletching, for instance. Yeah. Having access to the Ranging Guild makes fletching really easy because the Ranging Guild sells arrow shafts.
And rune tips.
Is it headless arrows? And tips.
Yeah.
So it's one of the two, honestly. Buy the stuff in bulk.
But I mean, it doesn't matter. You park yourself at like a maple tree, and with Production Master, you have infinite arrow shafts very quickly as soon as you just cut that.
Yeah.
So, Kandarin has many great skilling benefits for that, and I also think that the prospect of unique builds is something that hasn't been talked about that much. I'm going for a kind of hybrid meta approach. The meta is something that I think we'll hone in on a bit, but the reason I wanted to mention that specifically with Kandarin is because I felt a skilling break. And I don't know if taking Kandarin was the first region was the right thing to do, but overall, this is a slight alternative on what most people are taking. The other side of this is that you could take and you could set up a League's region set that has almost little to no PVM in it, which I know is something you were remarking at, Zerdones with Fremennik.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because Fremennik, in terms of bosses, really only has the Dagonoth Kings. So the blessing tasks are actually really easy. Like, it's pretty much just kill the Dagonoth King. There's 3 tasks, I think, that are just killing there's 2 tasks that are just killing Dagonoth Kings, and then the rest are all Slayer, which is whatever, nothing.
But then again, when you do that, I mean, yeah, that's great, but you're locked into that region. You don't really need the blessings then because you're already overpowered for all that stuff.
Yeah, you could, for example, you could use that. You could make that one of your regions, and then use that as a springboard to, to something else, to Tyranid and go take on Solak or whatever.
And keep in mind,
you're in Misthalin, you can go do Zamorak.
I was going to say, we already have
1K Zamorak.
We have Zamorak. We have all of the Elder God Wars dungeon. We have the Sanctum of Rebirth as well. All of that available in Misthalin. Raziel, Hermod, depending on how you want to do it. So, and I feel like there hasn't been enough talk of that, and I haven't seen anybody create this yet. That one of the things I'm considering doing, because we didn't get to talk about it on the theory crafting episode, but there's so much green in the rewards. There's lots of green in the rewards, and I like green.
It is very green.
So I'm going to want some of these rewards on the GIM as well. So I think there will be a second playthrough probably, and I'm thinking that one will be the Skiller's Paradise with a basic attack build, and we'll see how far we can get with that. Right, because I don't think anybody has been talking about that yet, but I think something like that is entirely feasible, which, given who the game seems to be marketed at this year, OSRS players, how much would OSRS players like to have a basic ability or basic attack combat build where they just press a special attack every now and then? Wouldn't that be interesting? So I think you can pair a lot of those things together. And as much as the verticalness of RS3 makes it difficult, I think at the same time, what you end up with is a huge option for unique builds. So as much as we talked about it maybe not being as good of a thing for RS3 as it is OS, I think region locking here is an interesting experiment, and I'll be interested to see what they do next time.